So I guess we can start off with Toronto. They finished their roster with the signing of Nevix. So they literally had everyone signed. The Ablis guy, he became team manager and assistant coach. But they literally spent Nevix was rumored like at mid October, and it took them a month to announce him. But Nevix is finally announced, which means that we finally have, or since Logic's tweeted out, oh yeah, this is going to be the last pickup, we finally have our Toronto Defiant roster right here. If I were to say the weakest point of this roster, it would be main support and main tank. And I'm a Beast fan. I think Beast will do good, but I don't know how good he's gonna do in Overwatch League. I feel like I've mentioned this before, but like he has potential, but I don't know how good he'll do. And then Kellex is alright. Kellex is average, which I mean, you don't really need a flashy main support since you do have a player like Kareev. But told me this offseason that Kareev and Kellex would be a duo, and I'd call you crazy because Kareev deserves better in a duo over Kellex. So I don't really know why Toronto decided to go for Kellex, but I mean, like, whatever. So, yeah, this is Toronto Defiance roster. Roki two-way. I think Roki's better than Kellex. At least that's what I believe. I don't know why they went for Kellex. They could have done so much better. They could have gotten Neptuno was a free agent. They could have gotten Neptuno. Probably Charge got Neptuno for free because all these other people passed on him. It's crazy. But I mean, I still think they'll be a good roster. I think Logix, Mangachu, and Surefour is a good DPS trio. We can leave agilities out. And then you have Beast and Nevix that can be solid as well. Yeah, Kellex did well in Overwatch World Cup, but like, is Overwatch World Cup the biggest define of skill? Because if you think about it, so many other rosters did well in Overwatch World Cup. Visility did, Leaf did, Tech 36 did, Bresson did. I mean, Bresson got picked up. But, I mean, there's so many other players that did good, but they're not getting picked up. So, it's like, why did Kellex get picked up? And I know they thought Neptuno was toxic. Like, that was the rumor that came out from the leaked video on Sideshow stream. But it's like, it's still, like, they could have done better than Kellex. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Kellex guy. I'm not the biggest Kel fan. Like, I don't hate the guy, but, like, I don't think he's that great. I think he's average. So, I think that could hurt Toronto in the end. I feel like they could have done better, but I mean, they did it for cheap, like somewhat cheap, quote unquote cheap, because I mean, they were able to get Kareev basically for free while other teams were offering 400k contracts. All right, but now we get to the Premier League Club, Vancouver Titans. Now, Vancouver Titans I'm pausing the music for this one. Vancouver Titans may have made the worst offseason moves. Maybe not maybe not this season for sure. Like, they made the worst offseason moves this season, but they may have made the worst offseason moves in the history of Overwatch League. Maybe even in the history of, like, the esports. I mean, maybe not esports, but in Overwatch, I think that this is the worst thing you could have done to this roster. Let's go to Bumper first. Let's open link in new tab. Bumper has been with Runaway since 2016 in December. That's 3 years that he's been with this roster. We can go to Runaway, right? Their former squad. Join date 2016. Haxel, him, and Stitch have played together since 2016. Jianu joined 2017. Twilight joined very beginning of 2018. Hureg joined when he left London. Sumin Su joined mid 2018. But all of these players, especially this trio right here, has played together for over 3 years. And with Bumper and Janu as a duo, over 2 years. Now, why, if you're Florida, do you think it's a good idea to ruin it? Why do you think it's a good idea to ruin it? They drop Bumper. First off, they dropped Tizzy. That's crazy to me. Imagine picking up Tizzy at the very end of the season. They picked him up stage 4. He played playoffs. He played very good in playoffs. And then they drop him. That's That's like Don Amigo from Parks and Rec. Use it, abuse it, lose it. Because that's exactly what they did to Tizzy. That's what London did to Tizzy. And that's what Vancouver did to Tizzy. They used him for playoffs, did good, and then they just got rid of him. And now Tizzy might not be on a team. And that scares me. Tizzy deserves to be on a team. And then I'm starting to get emotional. Selling Rappel to Houston, that's fine. Hugh Reg didn't want to be a player anymore. That's fine. Why would you get rid of Bumper? There's no reason to. Like, you have the player spot, and Fisher has a history of leaving his teams. He has a history of doing it. Over 2 years, he's been on 3 teams, and, he retired. You're picking up a retired player. You, as Vancouver, the second best team in Overwatch last season, are not only getting rid of your 3 years of synergy, probably you could say 2 years of synergy, just for a star player, quote unquote, that hasn't played the game in over 7 months. That's crazy to me. That is bonkers that whoever is in charge, whoever is in charge of this thing, Pagion, who has the dumbest mindset to think that this is a good idea. This is absolutely crazy that they got rid of Bumper. They could have kept him, even as a backup. And when Fisher would leave the team after stage 2, they'd have a very solid main team, because I still rate Bumper. Sure, maybe he's only good because he works with these players, but that's fine. It's fine if Bumper is good only with this roster, because it's this roster. And oh my god. Sure, maybe Fisher is a better player, even though he hasn't played in 6-7 months. Maybe he is a better player. Maybe this will pay off. Maybe. Do I think it will? Absolutely not. And I think Vancouver has made the dumbest decision that they could have in getting rid of their leader. Because Bumper is their leader. They got rid of the leader and is throwing someone in who is inconsistent with teams, doesn't have a good mentality. Maybe he's a star. He might be a star player, but he's been retired for 7 months. And then along with that, you pick up Rio Jehong. Why? You don't need him. You don't need Rio Jehong. He's just going to be a backup to Twilight anyways, and he's an expensive backup. Rio Jehong probably cost a lot of money. Why would you pick him up? I don't get it. It's just crazy to me. I wish I was in charge of Vancouver, because you know what I would have done between this season and next season? Absolutely nothing. I would have made 0 changes, because that's what you're supposed to do. If you get second place in Overwatch League, what do? Especially consistent, because the difference between Philadelphia Fusion, sure, Philadelphia Fusion, they got second place last season, right? But that roster was inconsistent. London Spitfire, same thing, inconsistent. What you want to do, you want to pick up some players just to fix that inconsistency. Vancouver, completely different story. Finals, stage 1 and stage 2, quarterfinals, stage 3, not the best thing. Second place, season finals, at the top of your division, one of the most consistent teams. And what do? You get rid of your consistent player. You get rid of, you don't do that. It's crazy. It's why? Who's in charge of this? If only they were smart like Shock, exactly. I'm fine with selling Rappel, kind of how Shock got rid of Nevix, because Rappel is a very good player that can start on another roster, and so is Nevix. But you don't get rid of your main player. Your main player is Bumper and Tizzy. That's what your team plays around with. That's who they play around with. They're not gonna play around Fisher well, because they have it's just frick. I'm so mad. It's I don't know how to describe it, but it was just, they could have kept Bumper. If they kept Bumper, not only a fan favorite, the face of Vancouver Titans, and also a player who's their leader, the uproar wouldn't be massive. But the uproar is huge because they did this, and because they did that, I see Vancouver falling extremely hard. I think the players are only good because I think Vancouver is only good because they have their synergy. I said that at the beginning of last season. I said Vancouver are only going to be good because of their because of their synergy, which is partially true. Like, if you throw these players on different rosters, maybe Haxel, maybe. But, like, Haxel didn't play in World Cup, maybe because of the synergy. Who knows? You know, I think with these players, they only work and they play at the highest level they do because of their synergy. That's just a belief. But if you ruin that synergy, I'm not fake mad. I'm fucking pissed right now. I've tweeted about this. I am so mad. Like, I'm not a Vancouver fan. Like, thank God I'm not a Vancouver fan. No, I don't think Twilight would perform well on most teams. I don't believe that. I think he works well with this team. There's a reason why he wasn't in World Cup and they picked Badoshin. Because they trialed Twilight. They trialed Slime. They didn't work well with other people. They only worked well together. Like, I believe Krusty when he says the players only worked well together. And now that they're not working together anymore, I don't see Vancouver doing well. I don't know if that's just me, but I think Vancouver is going to fall hard next season, especially since most of these other teams made better changes than Vancouver. Because honestly, you could have picked up a player better than Fisher. You could have. If you were like, okay, let's get rid of Bumper, let's get rid of Tizzy, let's pick up a main tank, you could have done 10 times better than Fisher. Like, it's just, I don't... Like, I'm so happy I'm not a Vancouver fan, because if I'm a Vancouver fan, I feel bad for these people. I don't think that's even it with Krusty. Krusty even said when in the Q&A, "Oh, why didn't you pick Twilight, who was arguably the best flex support last season, MVP candidate?" He said because they didn't work well with the other people. That's what he said. He said he only worked well with Slime. And I think Raijanu wasn't also like, maybe maybe that's not the best. But I think also why Haxel was benched all of World Cup, except for maybe 2 or 3 maps, is because he didn't work well with Carpe or Architect. But I think because these players have played together for so long, I think they need to be together or they're not going to be good. Maybe that's just me. Like, people are like, oh yeah, Twilight would be so great on this roster. I highly doubt that. I think Twilight would fall off, or Slime would fall off, or Janu is going to fall off. All these players are going to fall off without their team. It's just, like, that's what I believe. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But, like, if I'm Vancouver, if this doesn't pay off, like, I'm going to be extremely happy if this doesn't pay off, just because Vancouver deserve it for doing such a stupid thing.